Hey guys! Today this video is going to be about my experiences with applying to Interac for a teaching position in Japan as an ALT. I was offered a position and currently I haven't signed on with them yet, but I'll talk about that more at the end because that can get really confusing. Right now it's mid-July. I initially applied to them in mid-January. I heard back the next day that they wanted to set up the first of the 2 phone interviews with me, so I scheduled that for towards the end of February. I actually was going to miss their interview times because I was going to be in Japan, so they made the exception that they would be fine with doing the phone interviews after I got back. So once I got back, we had the first of those 2 interviews. They were really simple, nothing to be scared about, mostly just, why do you want to teach in Japan? What's your interests? Do you have enough money saved up? I passed the first one just fine, and we scheduled the second for the beginning of April. The second one was mostly, are you available, are you still interested, and do you have a grasp of what it would be like to be living in Japan? Do you know what you're getting yourself into with this? The second interview went great, so I was scheduled for my in-person interview, which was just down the street from me in the beginning of May. It was me and 8 other people, so there was 9 of us together. And it is an all-day event. I did not realize that going into it. It's all day, from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night. You could get lucky and leave early, but I didn't because I lived so close. The first few hours are sort of a meet and greet and a really fairly long information session that goes over anything you could possibly need to know about moving to and living in Japan, working for Interac, who they are, everything. You can also ask any questions you want. My interviewer was a female, and she had worked for Interac for several years, so she had a lot of experience. She gave us some great ideas, great tips. She was really fun to work with and talk to. Felt really relaxed. Then we moved on to the demo lesson part of the interview, which I know is the part that I was the most nervous about, and I think everyone else was too. I think everyone did great. They give you really detailed instructions with what you need. You have your introduction, which you do first, and that has the option of being in Japanese. I would suggest at least doing some in Japanese. I don't know any Japanese, but I had a friend look over some things I had tried to make sense of and kind of got that together and memorized it and said it over and over for weeks. So that's just kind of a good way to show that you're willing to do what you can. You read from a script for the second part, just to kind of hear your dictation, how you say words. You don't need to memorize it, you can hold it in front of you. The third part is then a warm-up. I don't think I've heard of anyone having a warm-up for any levels other than elementary school, so just keep that in mind. It needs to be simple, and you need to be really excited and happy to be there, and how are you class, and animated, and do all you can to try and show that you can work with typically, kindergarten-aged kids. They don't want you to just sit there and lecture them. That part is really easy. Everyone can kind of join in with you and be silly, and if you go out of that part not feeling like an idiot, you probably did it wrong. You're going to feel weird and silly. The fourth part is probably the most difficult. It is the demonstration lesson for, I believe, high school aged, and they were intermediate, so I picked the directions option. There's several options that they'll give you that you can do, and you'll have them all prepared beforehand. The best thing to do is bring in a visual aid. Everyone that I went with had a visual aid, and make sure it works. Make sure it works, and you know what you're doing, because if you sort of freeze in the middle of it and your game isn't working out because you forgot, just make sure it works beforehand. That makes it go so much more smoothly. It's really hard to mess it up though, I think. Our interviewer was really good about giving us the time limits for things so that no one went over, and she actually let one guy go twice because he was short on time. So she was really helpful with that, and she gave us a lot of bonus tips, what they're looking for, what they want in these demonstration interviews, and it was really relaxed. And we can also help each other. So while you may get an interviewer who wants you to treat your audience as though they're invisible, ours really wanted us to all kind of join in together and help out. So I could tell someone, hey, can you mess this up for me so that I can correct you? It was really helpful and really made it go a lot more smoothly. We had a break for lunch, which was great. Our whole group of us kind of went down to the restaurant areas of town and we got food together, and we all just kind of shared stories of Japan and when we were there, and a lot of your friends get sick of those stories, so it's really nice to get to share them. Everybody add each other on Facebook. We all got back together for our in-person interviews, which were about 30 minutes. Those are really basic interviews that you would have for any job. You know, what's your experience? Are you prepared? Do you have the money to be able to move here? Do you know what you're getting yourself into? Really basic stuff, and it's nothing to worry about. I think everyone did great. It took about 3 weeks for me to hear back from Interac that they wanted to offer me a position. I was initially interviewing for the August send-off group. However, for some reason, me and everyone in my interview session got moved to the next March send-off group, so that's why I currently haven't signed anything with them, because that will happen later. I'm actually on the alternate list for November, so I may be going out sooner, because I was ready for that August date, and I'm also applying with other positions. So that's really what Interac's all about. It's a great company. I've heard great things. I've heard bad things too, but with any job, it's kind of what you make of it. So don't go in blindly. Definitely do your reading. I'm going to post more videos later on about my other interview experiences with the different companies and Eikaiwas and everything that I've been working with, and hopefully be able to post videos once I'm actually there. I have a link to my blog as well, where I talk a little bit more in depth about all the different aspects of this and explain it a lot more. So if you really like to read things, go ahead and hit that up and look at it and leave me some comments. Thanks!